is sorted. Very good evening. I have so far G4XAT, GI4DOH, G4SAQ, G0MJW. Phil, G8XTW, are you joining us to transmit? Perhaps you can put some stream if you are. Let's just turn my power up a bit. That's a bit better. Sorry. Okay, news for this week. Cat 22 is still planned for 7th of August. No update there. I know a lot of you have booked hotels. That's good. Don't forget 12th, 13th of March is the next activity weekend. 23 SEMs and up. I'll be reporting on my activity during the last activity weekend later. 28th of February is the closing date for the RSGB construction competition. Challenge to every BATC member is to put in a TV entry. So let's get something in, even if it's something small. Next date I have for you is 12th of March, which is the deadline for CQTV 275. I know I've got an article from Jim and a few others, but let's have as many as we can, please. And the last date I have for you is, don't forget, the Dunstable Downs Rally on the 22nd of May. BATC will have a table there, so come and see us there, please. Okay, so without further ado, I'll put it round to Gareth, and if you can pass it on to Richard, please. G4XAT and the net, G8GKQ.
Okay, I hear my fans. Sorry about the fans. I haven't hidden the power supply in the cupboard. And say goodbye to the test card. Right, yeah, evening all. Hope you're all battened down safely. I took down the 10 metre Slim Jim and the 4 metre Slim Jim. They've survived everything for the last 10 years, but it's not looking promising, is it? I just hope my coating here on the chimney is fine, because it got an extended pole last year. So, right, I've been doing stuff. If I can remember what comes up first. Right, focus, there we go. Right, what we're looking at there is a B-Sky-B mini dish, of which I have several. And I was showing the little bicod which is on the carpet in front of that, which fits into the original B-Sky-B plastic moulding. Anyway, talking to Noel about this, he said he's got a dish with the arm but no moulding, so I thought, oh well, there's a challenge. I'll see if I can CAD that up, and that's the result. It's a replica of the original, so you can either use it for the original, or that particular blue one has got a flange on it for mounting something on, and also a wider bore that will fit the 122 gigahertz horn. So that's my thinking behind that. And the crosshair is from a bore sight fitted on a genuine, just to check that I've got the geometry right. So one of those will be winging its way to you, Noel. The other thing I've been working on today is that. Now, I'll take a walk across the shack. You will hopefully recognise the tripod. And this is the modified tilt mechanism. So you turn the wheel and up and down it tilts. Yes, there are some changes to be made, not least it's not gimbaled in any shape or form, so the thread starts to bind as the angles increase. Um, I've thought of a way around that with some input from my son. That won't take long to change, and then I can throw away those small bits of plywood because it needs to be further away from the tripod so you can rotate all the way around, and it'll be shorter. It doesn't need to be that long. And that'll do, because my amp's just sped up and told me that I'm probably waffling. So I'll go briefly back to me and say round to you, Richard. So GI4DOH to pick it up from G4XAT in the BATC Net. Over.
G4 XAT with the BATC Net, GI4DOH. Forgetting as usual to turn the sound down. That's it's done. One of the problems about I'd just taken a swig of the coffee, which is still very hot because I've just made it. So just settling down to that. But everything went swimmingly tonight. Switched on, everything fired up on my initial test a little while ago. No hiccups there. It's all very good. Not a vast amount to report. I've noted the date for the next activity day. So I did get out last Saturday. 23 centimeter gear. Not that it worked anybody, but it was nice to have the little social contact with people on Zello and all the rest. And it's about taking part, not actually achieving anything that's important. So it did prove that the 23 centimeter stuff is ready to go. I have actually ordered a 250 watts 23 centimeter amplifier from a certain person in the Netherlands, and that should increase my chances of having QSOs on subsequent things. But I have the 12th, 13th of March in my my diary for that, and I'm all booked up flight-wise for Cap 22, and I'm looking forward to that. I certainly enjoyed that last year. So not a lot else from me this time. I might have myself a bit more organized next time. So I think it's Russ. Yes, Russ G4 SAQ with the BATC group. This is GI4DOH.
GI4DOH. This is G4SAQ. Yeah, very good evening to everyone. Nice to see you all on the net again. Hopefully tonight I haven't got any jerkiness on my transmission. I never did find out what the cause of it was, and some of you suggested that it was probably a Windows update taking place. And I had a look afterwards, and I couldn't find any evidence of that having happened. It might have been a Avast antivirus or something like that, but I can only think it was something along those lines, because there was no obvious cause otherwise. And I have this afternoon made sure that everything is updated, so hopefully I shouldn't be interrupted again. Yes, the only thing I've really got to tell you, because I haven't done any radio activities at all this week, is that I've been out this evening and lowered my mast, as I'm sure many others have. I'm always a bit worried about lowering it, because the water can get into the bottom of the bell housing on the rotator when it's down. So I've wrapped it up in cling film, and hopefully that'll do the job. Right. What else did I have to say? Oh yes, Gareth. Yeah, always impressed with your 3D printing, and that tilt wheel particularly looks rather nice. So very well done on that. Now I'm actually going to disappear after this round. I'll stay and listen to what everybody's got to say, but I shan't be coming back again because I've got some rather important things to get done this evening. but I wanted to come on and say hi because I shan't be on next week. I've got a commitment next week. So with no further ado, I'm going to put it round to Mike to take it, please. G0MJW.
Thanks, Russ. You cut off there for some reason just before the end of your transmission, but all good, and it was perfectly flawless, so that was great. So as you can see, my tower in the rear garden is luffed over, as is the one in the front. So doing the same, I think, as everybody else. I did that on Thursday. The only problem is that the HF aerial is also lowered, but I haven't done it at either end, so it's trailed across the drive, which is a bit of a problem. So I put some bricks on top of it, try and persuade people coming and delivering things not to drive over it. But there you go. Right, let me move on to a few things like a picture of me, so that should be a little bit better. I've not got anything really significant to show this week. I've just been plodding on with other things, really, and of course it's always work. So that does limit the amount of time I have for doing things. So if I can just find the bench camera with its trademark, we'll just go to there and show you what's on the bench, which is pretty much the same as was on the bench last time, except for I think you can see some batteries charging. Well, I'm busy charging all the batteries just in case, certainly the ones for the torches, to make sure that I've got them charged when I have the power cut, which will inevitably happen here. A stiff breeze causes a power cut, so what 60 mile an hour gusts are going to do, which is what we have forecast, I don't know. Wait and see. So a little bit concerned about what might happen, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully not too much. So there we are. The only new thing on the bench which you won't have seen before is one of George Smart's loop amplifiers, which is sitting in a bit of conduit, and if you look at it closely you'll discover it's upside down. That's because of the way that conduit is. Well, maybe it's not upside down, I don't know. I don't think it matters. But I've got to find some way to mount that in there. It's for HF. So anyway, went to the shop, of course, and I got the 6 135 degree bends and 2 2-meter lengths of copper pipe to make a hexagonal antenna loop. And those who are on the ball and quick at maths will remember that actually the internal angle of a hexagon is not 135 degrees, and it's an octagon, and you need 8. So I've got another couple on the way, so I'll be all right. But my plan is to make this loop out of copper pipe, 15mm copper pipe, with solder connectors on there, so it will be octagonal, and hopefully it won't look quite as bad as the previous one did. So we'll wait and see. I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, there was a few comments on the cat. I booked the hotel. It was very expensive actually, but it was available. I think there were 9 left when I booked it, but that was last week, so maybe the numbers have gone up. I don't know, but it should be a good event. But I may have some problems attending it. We will see. It all depends on the timing. Right, what else? Just to I don't know if Roger is here or not. I haven't seen him on the list, but he might be watching. So I think I can see him in the people monitoring list. You must come up, Roger. We always like to see what you've been doing. It's really interesting. But you were asking about the mill, and here it is. So this is the mill that I've been trying, and I think a few other people, Keith I think has got one as well. Some more parts arrived this week. So we've got, I've got some milling bits and some collets to fit them in now, which is all good. But I just want to show you something which I think is an issue that we're going to have to solve. And I know what the solution is, but I don't know if you can see that on the camera. But there's a lot of play in the spindle, and as you push it, and that is the x-axis bars bending. So I think linear rails might be better there. It's because they're close together, and it's not the holder of the spindle, even though that's plastic, that's very rigid. It's definitely the bars bending. So we might need to think about modifying that with linear rails. And the problem is we're going to need some sort of carriage. Now we could make that out of metal, or I guess we could 3D print it. So I don't know. I know Gareth was tempted to purchase one of these. Maybe he will, and then we'll be fine. Okay, with that, I think I've probably said more than enough. Who's it round to? Oh, it's James. So G0GQH, round to you, G0MJW.
Just checking the audio. Okay, yes, good evening everyone. I wasn't here for the last couple of weeks, but I was watching last week though, in between doing some maintenance on the house. This is quite a list actually that I've made, so if I bring that up, then you probably see who it is actually speaking. There you go. So ignore the steps in the background, because we had a chap come up from Bournemouth last week and sorted we had in the solar hot water system. And so we had, I think it was about 50 degrees of hot water today in the tank, so we were able to have baths. So I've been looking at the solar graph downstairs, and it's gradually getting better every day as it starts to warm up and as the sun comes up further up above the horizon. Things you have to watch out for when you have solar, I'm afraid. And the other thing I've been busy doing, and I'll bring that up in a second, is this. So we weren't sure whether to go for a pellet burner, wood burner, but in the end we plumped for an electric fire. So originally there was a brick fireplace in there, and if you look carefully, you'll see there's a bit of blue carpet been put in where the original fire was, and I didn't have any dado rail to complete this, and I had to have that specially made, and Totten Timber did that for me and made a superb job of that. I put that in and mitered all the ends, and luckily I had a bit of the border left to go around, and the skirting board as well I did the mitering on, and that really worked out very well as well. But it took a long time to do because the plaster had to dry out, and then the imperfections filled in and then rubbed down again and undercoated, you know what it's like. So that was what we've been doing over the last 2 weeks. We've got gas central heating, radiator central heating, so we're not actually using any of the heat. It's just background flames, which are artificial, of course. So if you look just to the left of the left-hand loudspeaker, you'll see the monitor for the solar. So that tells me how much we're actually generating during the day. another thing you have to look at, I'm afraid, when you have solar. But we've got 2 hot water panels on the house for hot water and 6 solar PV panels on the garage roof, and that brings us in around £500 a year on feed-in tariff. So we were lucky in as much as we got in at the very start of it and got the highest rate. I don't think you get that now. I think it's about 12 pence now. I think we get about 50 to 60p, something like that, per kilowatt we generate. Anyway, that's about it really. So as I say, I've been very busy over the last couple of weeks, and to get that finished was really difficult because I work part time as well. And Maureen likes to go out in the afternoon, and we usually go somewhere for coffee in the afternoons. So we've got our favourite places, even in the winter. Summer's better, of course, because we can go up to the New Forest and have some walks. So we're just waiting for the weather to improve. Okay, that's about it from me. I won't come on again the second time if you don't mind. Who's next? G4KLB. Okay, this is G0DQH, and I'm situated between Southampton and Winchester in Chandlersford in Valley Park. Okay, see you all next week. G0DQH.
Okay, thanks a lot, James. There we are. That seems to be working. And the lights are still on. Fantastic. There's a lot of hammering going on. I can hear hammering somewhere. Not quite sure. I have to go and investigate that in a minute. What's going on? Anyway, yeah, very good evening. I wasn't on last week because I was at work, so that was makes it very difficult, really. And but earlier in the week, yes, I know there's no one in, no. But yes, I wanted to put a signal up onto HV earlier in the week because I like to come in via RF where possible. And I lost the streaming key for HV, so so that hasn't been a problem. I've lost it years ago, actually, but but never mind. So but as they've got QO100 input, then it seems rude not to use it, really. So I went and flicked the big switch, and bang, plunged into darkness. Everything it took out the it took out this actually. And this very afternoon I have replaced this, and let's see if it'll go in. It nearly focused, didn't it? Then it thought about focusing. If you go right in and then sneak out, it sometimes decides to focus. But yes, I've got this one. It's a bit dirty there, but this has just become sensitive. This is the second one I've had. The similar issue happened before, and you think, oh, there must be some earth leakage, logically. But this was only 30 milliamps anyway, on the main one, which is sometimes ambitious for when you've got a lot of things on. But they just seem to get sensitive. Or this is the second one that has got sensitive. It's been jumping out for the drop of a hat for all sorts of things, but there doesn't appear to be anything amiss with any piece of equipment. So anyway, I've replaced it today and it hasn't gone off. So it's early days yet. I flicked the switch after I did it. I powered everything up and I came on and off 3 times on QO100 and the lights stayed on. So the trouble is it crashes everything. It's an absolute nightmare because it crashes 3 computers, the repeater, the everything is a complete nightmare. So yeah. So anyway, hopefully it's just that. But time will tell, won't it? But anyway, I managed to find another one. This is a bit more awkward because this one, there's a pin there that plugs into a rail, a buzz bar, really strictly speaking. And a lot of the other ones don't have this little pin. It's a Crabtree Star Breaker, but I guess it's fairly elderly now. I mean, I fitted that consumer unit 25 years ago, I guess. So it was current at the time. But anyway, there we are. But most of the ones I find of these are for like split supply ones. They're not what I wanted for the main switch. But anyway, I've replaced it, and time will tell. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, rehearsal for tomorrow. Yes, well, we're forecast for 80-mile-an-hour winds up here. I better not be too long about it, haven't I? I'm thinking I'm on SQ, but I won't refresh. But you can see on there. You can see on there. No, you can't. You can't see it, can you? 'Cause it's out of focus, horribly out of focus. I did take a picture and send it to myself, but I haven't had a chance to. No, it's not. It's just not going to. It's not going to focus, is it? It will do if I persevere. I tell you what, we'll just go shaky cam. It's just easier, isn't it? But I'll do this bit and then I'll try and hurry up a little bit because there's a few on tonight. But yeah, this one focuses a little bit better. But you can see 9 o'clock in the morning is kick-off, whereas before that really 77. 80 mile an hour for quite a long time. Repeater aerials are still up, as are collinears and other such things. It's a bit of a nervous time. I have dropped the 77s and 2 meter beams, but bit dodgy. But I've been mainly. I'm not going to do a big thing on this. I'm just going to just show that. Just give a little. This is only going to be a quickie now. But I've mainly been working on this MacGuffin test rig. You can see we've got a Portsdown 4, a little one, a baby Portsdown 4 attached, and I've run out. Where's the wire? And that controls everything. So if we go to a different band, say I'll go 437, then you'll see then that it changes, and you may have heard all the relays go. All the relays and everything are all working. Everything's going. So it's not finished yet, but this is just an example, one example, and I've been making up these little LEDs that go on. They're not part of it, but they're useful for me for testing. So that's what we've been doing, and today we've added in a mechanism that the Ryde receiver that it can control a Ryde receiver as well. But that's I've only just got that to light up today. Did it live on air on SQ. I've tended to start. So what I'll do is I'll just come off of there because it'll get into SQ otherwise. That's the trouble. Go 146. 146. So it comes back up there. It's got crossband function. You can do crossband receive transmit this sort of stuff on there as well. And all the lights go. You'll see that if you press TX, it goes through its sequence. You see push to talk is off at the moment, and then it will go through and the sequencer will go. There it is. So I don't know if you saw that at all, but push to talk is on, and so it does all the clicky clicks. That's it. That's all I need to do with that. You'll see it all. You'll see. You may have seen some lights go, but you may have heard some clicks. Anyway, there we are. That's enough. It's not meant to be a demo of the MacGuffin. It's just what I've been working on in between other stuff. Too much power. It's a tiny bit, but it's not too much. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Those. You wouldn't believe what I paid for those. Next to nothing. The idea is not to specify the relays, because the idea is to enable any relays to be used. Any relays to be used. People will want to use. Some people will have lots of fancy ones, and the idea is, but that everyone will be different depending what you can get hold of at a sensible price. But I use my other one, which would be pointless showing. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, my other one uses these, which I managed to get, mainly thanks to Wolfgang, strictly speaking. And these are my favourite weapon. I love these. I love these. These are my favourite, and you can still buy them brand new, and they cost £1,000 each, and you need several. So obviously, it would be ludicrous to propose a project where one relay costs £1,000, and so that would be completely silly. So some people will have fancy ones, other people won't, and so they'll use what they can anyway. That's enough of that. That's enough of that for now. Okay. Dave is. Hang on. What's Noel doing? The shack not on. Okay, so it's over to Dave then. Okay, I think I've had long enough. So G8 GKQ to take it. G4KLB. He's lost the test card. There we are. There we go.
G4KLB, G8GKQ. Good, got some audio there. Great. First of all, good evening to all those watching on the net. On the web stream, we have 43 viewers. We peaked at 48 earlier. So quite a good audience. That's great to see. Last weekend we had the activity weekend. I went out to my local hill, and but I had some events before I got there. I'll just show you some pictures. The first one is this fella here. That was a Portsdown. It's actually a Portsdown 2020 until I dropped it, and then it's only half a screen. So if anybody knows where you can buy some of those screens, I'm in the market for one. However, after all that had happened, I went out, and it was a lovely day where I was, sheltered by trees. It's a rotten site for microwaves, but a really good site for the north and northeast. It's clear and it's all sheltered by trees, and I managed to work Knoll over 44 kilometres on not very much power on 146, so we had some good fun with that. And I managed to get into SQ at 40 kilometres on 23 SEMS, which I was very pleased with. So thanks to all your efforts on that, Colin. I was really pleased to get in. Since then, I've been working on the repeater controller, which is now at late beta stage. I think it's ready to release. Noel's doing a lot more testing on it, but seems to be in a reasonable state. And I got fed up with doing repeater software yesterday, so I finally decided to do some hardware. So the audio now, my audio has always been a bodge up till now, but I found this little plastic box that had something else in it, and now my headset plugs into the phone's and mic socket on the front. There's a gain pot which is actually calibrated, so I can be the same really loud level every week, and it switches between having an amplifier in, which I need for Cure 100, and not having an amplifier in, which I need for Skype on the computer, which I use the same headphones for. And inside the box are a couple of USB dongles, and just out the back come a couple of USB leads, one of which goes to the computer and the other goes to the QO100 transmit setup. So that that's all in one box, powered by 12 volts, and hopefully will lead to more reliable audio. The main activity on the repeater software this week has been I2C, and thanks to John in the States and Colin, we managed to get an I2C audio switching board, which is now interfaced into the repeater software. Comments from other people. Colin, that MacGuffin looks amazing. Really good piece of construction. I look forward to seeing the CQTV article on that one. The hotels, oh God, what a signal! Thank you very much. The hotels for Cat 22, yeah, are very expensive, and there isn't much availability, mainly due to I think the International Children Games, which are being held in Coventry the following week, but there really wasn't another alternative date for us. Richard, it was good to hear you come out portable on Saturday. Shame you didn't get a contact with Rob, but it'll happen one day. I've worked him over 400 kilometres, so I'm sure you'll make it one day. And Gareth, that tripod's really nice. A lot better than my wiggle around. It's probably not shaky cam, it's shaky tripod. Just checking my list, make sure there's nothing else. No, there isn't. So let's put it back round to Gareth, and I gather Noel will come in next time round. If you give us a shout when you're ready, Noel, we'll slot you in. So G4XAT and the group G8GKQ.
Right, thanks Dave, G4XAT and the group in the BATC Net. Let's put some human on. Here we go. Right, well, sorry to hear, or rather sorry to see your pie screen, Dave. I can, bear with me a second, I'll just disconnect a few peripherals. I can do you one of those with saver feet, I call them. You can just about see the edge of that one is sticking above the plastic. The latest version covers the plastic, so it'll save the glass basically. Okay, what else? Richard, I'd like to see a link to that amp. If it's a 250 watts of DATV, that's a fair old beastie. Right, okay, I'll pass it to Noel next when I finish waffling. Looking forward to the repeater controller, making it out to the wild. If it wasn't for JV up the road, I'd be tempted to try and get one set up. No, I don't know, Dave. It might have done. Depends if the floor was concrete. But whatever, it happens, doesn't it? I've been waiting for something like that to happen here, but it hasn't so far, touch wood. Okay, Mike, you've got probably lots of Polycom cameras. I've got one that was okay last week, but this week it's very reluctant to tip up and down. It'll go left and right okay. I've got a feeling the up and down tilt is via a single phosphor bronze bush arrangement that takes the DC into the semi-servo motor thing. I think it's more of a servo magnet than a motor, but I think that's about it. Yeah, I've got some flexible filament. It's funny stuff though, Mike. It's it's sort of compliant. I'm not sure. It isn't. Okay. Right, okay. Well, maybe that needs reseating. I've seen that on those tiny little ESP cams where you just have to reseat the ribbon cable. Okay, thanks for that. The mill flexing. I thought it was the plastic mounting, but if you say it's the metal rods, I don't know if they're silver steel or just cheap steel. I suppose you could heat treat some silver steel to toughen it up a bit, perhaps. Colin, your earth leakage circuit breaker. Well, I've told you about the ongoing kitchen install with my son Josh. He had the final electrical fix yesterday, and everything passed, even though it's old grey PVC from the late 60s, early 70s. Only the earth on the mains, I don't understand this, but somehow he was able to measure the earth resistance on the board cable, and it was 2.8 ohms, which is not good. So he called out the electricity board. They came round and confirmed it and said they're going to have to dig up the road and see if they can improve that. So they gave him a 60 amp fuse instead of a 100 amp and said you'll be okay with that. The flashing novelty. It's just that. It's an LED pretty pattern generator. It's got an ST microchip in it, which is very good at doing lots and lots of PWM. It was about 40 quid off eBay as a kit with an awful lot of LEDs to solve. But it's like futilely pretty. I just love LEDs. Loads of them. Okay, I think that's it from me. Noel, if you didn't see the tripod-o-matic, when the net's over I'll show you that again. Should you be interested in also the mount which will put your 122 gigahertz horn on your B-Sky B mini dish. Okay, so round to you then, Noel. G8 GTZ from G4X18. This is at the test card back.
Yes, evening all. Sorry I was late to play, but I listened to all of these people talking about luffing antennas over, and saw Mike had luffed his tenor meter over, tenor mast over, so I thought I'd better rush out and do mine. I've never ever done that before in the 20 years it's been up. In fact, it hasn't been, oh blimey, but it hasn't been up for, actually it hasn't been down for about 6 months. So I have now taken it down, and we'll see. But it doesn't look too particularly clever tomorrow. And Colin was still talking when I got back in. Yeah, the picture there that I started with, that was Dave on Saturday afternoon. Cracking picture. Over I think it's 42 kilometres, and I actually dropped the power on my system because I was running a very QRP system. I dropped the power to 25 milliwatts, and Dave was still getting a lock on me, so that's pretty good. So that was Saturday, and then on Friday I'd been out and done 122 gigahertz, Don't know if I can just zoom in for Gareth's benefit. I don't know if this will work. It may not. Oh no, wrong one. It's that one I want to zoom in. So that was my latest incarnation of a 122 gigahertz dish. That's Gareth's mount, which was designed for the Edmunds dishes. So a mount for a Cassegrain, but actually it's being used there on a 5.6 gig Ubiquiti link dish, and it worked pretty well. In fact, that worked as well as the dish next door, which is a Gilbertini 60 centimeter dish, and Barry has just literally rubber banded his 122 gigahertz transverter in the place where the LNB was. So we did 27k on that on 122, so it was pretty successful. And the interesting thing was, I'm not going to bore it. I mean, I'm boring everybody who saw the Barry SJH. Who did I say? So we weren't just experimenting with FM because the signals are quite weak, because all of us are incompetent at Morse code. We've been experimenting with Hellschreiber, and it worked pretty well. So this is Hellschreiber on 122. Right, so that's enough of that. To answer Gareth's question, he was using the 25 dB horn, which is seems to be the one we've had most success with generally. Can't actually see it in that shot, can you? No, but yeah, it's the 25 dB horn, 20 dB horn. So yeah, so that's what's been happening here. Apart from the other things that have been soaking up my time is I'm fitting a kitchen at church. An inordinate amount of plumbing, some of which leaked and some of which didn't. That's taking up a lot of time, and the repeater controller, which I can't show you, it's still over there. HV is actually running at the moment, and it's looking pretty cool. To answer Dave's question, no, I've been out this afternoon. I haven't got around to testing I2C, and actually the postman didn't deliver anything. I just realised. I'm just looking around to see if Sally put a parcel on my desk while I was out this afternoon, but no, so no testing of that going on. So yeah, between those activities, there ain't much time in the day left really. So there we go. But the repeater controller is looking really smart. I've done quite a bit of work on the wiki. That's where it's about the limit of my intelligence, and we've got some quite good wiki pages now. So I think I can just post that if anybody wants to know more. There's the link. Okay, who does it go to? It goes to Richard, and haven't heard back from Spain yet, Richard. Okay, right. GI4DOH and the BATC Net. This is GHET.
GTZ. This is GI4DOH. There I am. Yep, evening Noel, and fine on everything there. Yes, I'm sure that will find to spend this funny thing that we're not in the EU, but we're in the EU, unlike the rest of the UK. It's a bit hard to fathom all the intricacies of that, and fine on all the comments of people lowering masts and aerials and all the rest. I've taken the Zeppelin the 2.4 meter dish. Although I think we've already had the worst of what we're likely to have. Tuesday night was pretty stormy here, and that all seems to have gone. It's actually a fairly pleasant evening here at the moment. So, Russ, your comment on last week's stuff with stuttering and the rest. I note that I've got the little waiting update on my. Want to do that? There's a DA in hand. Does through what else on my my list, like the milling and that little bit of slack on it. That's always been one there, sort of Cougar a couple of years ago was aware of the fact that the breaker on the consumer unit would need to be increased, and I think it paid less than a fiver down to local screw fix, and it only took a few minutes to replace it. No harm was done, and it was fit for purpose. It was actually out pressure cleaning the patio down the back of the house tonight. The last thing I wanted all the to-in and fro-in from the 2.4 meter dish in inclement weather is I don't want to go on my air or break a hip or anything like that. So it's about 2 years of growth got removed. And I was aware of the fact that the very pressure cleaner about its but I think the MacGuffin column has quite a lot of interconnects on that, and again, sort of nicely laid out on a board. There are a lot of things to go wrong and get pulled out if they're not firmly attached together. So good to see everybody beavering away at things, and so I'm hacking away at things myself with the EME stuff. I think I did actually show last week the then prototype in the kitchen. Meter PA, I'm sure you'll come across that he reckoned they had a lead time of a few weeks on it. Well, it's certainly worth it, and that's what I've gone for. So enough waffle from me. I think it'll be around next week. Yes, it's the following week's the club.
In Germany. I don't know if they're still using those particular FETs, but they were well, gain wasn't a major issue. The yeah, it's good. Okay, what else? Everything apart from Baker.
G0MJW, G4KLB. Okay, thanks a lot, Mike. Excellent, very good indeed. Yes, just run the mill very fast and very slow, if you know what I mean. Fast speed but moving slow. That probably minimise it. It'll probably do, because it'll only be doing relatively small jobs anyway, I'm sure. So, but the linear rails idea would solve it, but you would need a lump of metal. I thought the same when the sort of rep wrap printers were being made. They were all 3D printed parts, which I didn't like. So I built one completely out of metal. But I have to say the Ender gives equally good results, and that's not mechanically the best to look at, but the results are fantastic. So I've been very impressed with the Ender 3 actually. Other printers are available, but for the price and the performance, it's very good indeed. That's one that's buried behind me here. I think I might have to move this, because I think we might have the cabinet in here somewhere, and the printer will go in what is at the moment known as the repeater room, which is next door, but might become a printer room for paper printing and 3D printing. At the moment there are 3 3D printers in there. They're not all mine, mind you. My lad is built a cabinet for ABS, and he's designed some builds stuff in there, quite impressive actually. But in the space of one over, he'd actually designed and printed and installed a part. Obviously, I can't say how long that was, obviously, but it was just one over, and so I was well impressed with that. It was quite a long over, admittedly, but there we are. But yeah, okay. Then thanks for the comments on the MacGuffin. Yeah, it's that is it's spread out deliberately so people can see what's going on. Obviously, it's just an example. We had to have an example, something for someone to look at. My other one is an 8-band one, but this one is using 6-way relays that we're able to get very inexpensively. But there's not a huge supply of each one. That's the problem. So the project started because I got fed up with changing coaxes and power and preamps, and when I'm portable, it was an absolute nightmare to change them, and I kept making mistakes and blowing things up. So it started off as a project for my van, but I stupidly suggested that it might be useful for others as well. Then we started to make it adaptable to take any voltage or type of relay, and that began to make it a little more complex in a way. But there we are. But I'm using a BATC 8-band RF switch, because the losses on transmitted are not anything to be worried about, because you can obviously, you can put more gain in or whatever enough. But anyway, I won't go in and do any more on that. But it's coming along nicely. Oh, I've just disconnected the shaky cam. Hang on, I don't know if that's going to work now. What's happened there? Sorry about this. What's happened? The other end is I'm sure that's meant to be connected to something. I've kicked it out. Well, where's the other? Oh, there it is. I don't know if that'll still work now. Have to see. Perhaps I won't risk it, because it's I've sort of done enough of that. But very pleased to see Dave. There he is. Dave into SQ from a hill near Salisbury. Very pleased with that. Then there's a picture from the streamer. It was Dave's first time into SQ. I was a little surprised, but perhaps I hadn't given it enough thought. But very pleased to see that. I was very pleasing for me particularly, because obviously the Alford slot hasn't got the most gain really. But we have done some extra work and fitted filters. The SQ was desensing a little bit. It was still working quite well actually, with just the filters that we had in there. But I've added a 7-pole filter to the back of the Ryde, and so I'm very pleased to see that is working as it should. So not bad at all really, not bad at all. So chuffed to bits with that. Right, okay, that's probably enough. There's lots of things going on here all the time, but yeah, I haven't actually lowered any aerials down flat like most people have done, but what I have done is the one on the side that's got the SQ77s and my 2-meter horizontal is on the side of the building, and it's as high as I dare really, and there's a big rotator on it, so it moves about something awful without any wind. So it's very vulnerable, and the bricks are particularly soft on the side of the house, and the lower mount has cracked a brick already due to an incident whilst an assistant was helping me to put the aerials up the time before. So I figured for safety I would drop that down, and because that one sort of hangs over next door's roof, and so if it went, it would probably take their roof out, which is going to be really awkward. I've already had an incident where I've had an aerial a pole snap in half, and it went through my roof. 223 beams appeared inside the loft, so that wasn't ideal. And it's always a bank holiday, so you can't buy roofing tiles. But I managed to find some on Free Cycle and rush off and pick up these roofing tiles and repair the damage. So not too bad on my roof, but it would have been a bit awkward on the neighbours. And we've also got dishes that are vulnerable. I'm not so worried with the dishes. I'm just hoping that the coax will hang on to them if they do go anywhere, rather than fly across the room, but across the several gardens. But one of the biggest concerns is the chicken enclosure. As you know, under current regulations for bird flu, we've had to enclose all the areas, and with quite a fine mesh. There is a specific hole size that you have to conform to, so really it's so that no small birds can get in, and our mesh is a little bit smaller than half the size actually of the minimum, and so there's quite a big wind resistance, and the top we've covered with solid, because obviously droppings from wild birds could come in, and so it's a bit of a worry actually. So there's lots of things to be worried about tomorrow. So there we are. Anyway, there we go. Anyway, it's coming along. I say I've been sort of pushing the envelope a little bit, what with working full time and trying to move this project on a little bit. And we'll probably be calling on the services of Noel to actually stick the stuff on the wiki. We already have quite a file compared, but it's being fine-tuned almost daily. And we're also employing the services of other amateurs to try and see if anything, weed out any misunderstandings and this, that, and the other. So there we are. Anyway, so the project started as just for me, but it's going to be made available to anyone who wants to do it. And it's completely configurable. So this one, the example one we're going to show, will be 6 bands, because those relays were available. They're less so now, but you can still get them. My one for the van is 8 band, but you can have 16 if you really must run with transverters and such like as well, obviously. So you can switch in, you can share amplifiers. Say you might have an amplifier that's suitable for 4 meters and 6 meters. Well, you can incorporate that in, and preamps as well. You can switch them all around to, you know, to share this and the other. It's quite comprehensive, really. Some people say it's too big, because we're using existing relay modules. Because you want to switch PA power, the power to the PAs, the push to talks, preamp power. They're all using relays. You can use the relays to switch coaxial relays as well if you want to, depending what you've got, you see. Anyway, that's enough of that. But that's my little project. I'm trying to push it on, because we've had over Christmas and this, that, and the other. Not a lot was getting done on that front, so I'm trying to push it along a bit so we can release it to the wild. But it will be in CQTV, obviously. It might be in several CQTVs possibly, but those details are not necessarily around. But everything will be on the wiki certainly once we've finalised. But we keep making improvements, you see. So there we are. Right. Okay then. Cemeteries then. Oh, I didn't see who it was to go to, and it's anyway. They'll know who it is. They'll know who it is. Oh dear, it's been a long day. It has. It's been a long day. Been a long month actually. Okay then. Cemeteries. G4KLB.
G4KLB, G8GKQ. That's not as loud as Colin. Let's turn the power up, the audio up a bit. Yeah, oh, that's better, I think. Okay. Comments. When I got into SQ, Colin, I tried initially at 333, got in, and also tried at 1 mega symbol and got in as well. So I was really pleased. There's about 3 dB margin, I think, on a 1 mega symbol. So there's been about 7 dB of margin at 333. The wiki, keeping the wiki up to date is very difficult, and Noel's struggling because I keep changing the repeater software, and there are new things to go on it all the time, but it's doing a very good job, so I would encourage people to take a look if they're interested. Hellscriber looks interesting doing it on the... I suppose you don't actually need a reader for it, because you just watch it on the waterfall. Really quite interesting stuff. I think that's all the comments I have. I'll just put it round to Gareth if he wants another over, and Noel if he wants another over, and then we'll call it a day. But thanks all for coming up. Still lots of interesting stuff going on. It'll be really good to see that MacGuffin, how that is all working once you do get it on the wiki. No, you need a decoder, FODG. Oh, I see. Okay. There's a challenge. But no, I'm not going to do it. G4XAT if he wants it, and then G8GTZ, and then closing the net. Good night all. Thanks for coming on. G8GKQ.
Right, that's working. Whoops. Turn that down. Right, okay. Just a quick one from me. Noel, if you didn't see... right, okay. No, we can't use SST, but I thought, well, it's an image, isn't it? Anyway, do you want to see the tripod adjuster? Were you on for that showing on my first over? If anyone knows a source of good Lazy Susan bearing, I'm not talking eBay specials, which is where mine came from. They're just a bit too slack You know, having built something that you can adjust with fractions of a millimetre, it seems a shame to end up with something that's got a millimetre or two of slack. Right, okay. Bear with me a second, Mark. Right, okay, transition to that and give it a bit of zoom and that way a bit. Okay, so you recognise the tripod, you recognise the previous bits of plywood. Yes, they will need extending to the left. Bit too heavy, Mike, and I threw away the last pair I kept off a Mazda MX-5. And actually, I might have one. I was thinking I could use a bearing, but even that, even a taper roller, it's big and heavy and greasy and nasty. Anyway, I'm thinking on it. Right, hold on a second. Okay, so here we go. That's it, adjusting one way, and that's it, adjusting the other way. Real rocket science stuff. But that's the slack in the actual Lazy Susan bearing, which is a shame, because if you get rid of that, you've got a top quality product. Right, okay, thank you, Roger. I'll have a look at that. Okay, nothing else from me. I'm assembling bits. Barry sent me the code for the Hellschreiber and also the red LED beacon, and I also asked him for the code for his weather station. I've ordered up the bits for that. Yeah, I don't think it'd be any better, Mike, to be honest. Although I did think of printing like a marble race and sticking a load of marbles in, making my own, so you could adjust the clearance, the running clearances and things like that. It might not be necessary if everything's heavy enough. Right, okay. Round to you then, Noel. GTZ, pick it up from G4XAT, saying good night all, 7-3s, and see you further down or whatever. Over to you, Noel. One test card and off.
Oh Lord. No audio? 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 I have got audio, haven't I? Have I got audio? No. Okay. Norfolk accent. I haven't got a Norfolk accent. So what was the question? The question was, on that tripod rotator, we're using a Lazy Susan for the azimuth rotation. And Gareth is saying there's some slop in there. I wonder if you know of any better ball racers type azimuth rotating devices. So yes, Dave's audio was very low compared to Gareth, who was enormous. I've rated Dave at about 7 and Gareth at about 11. Yeah. Okay, I really haven't got too much more than to say. Yeah, it looks good, Gareth. Thank you very much. And Good to see you all on. Colin, I hope your ears don't blow down, but you know what they say, if they didn't blow down this year, they're not big enough. Yeah, hope everybody survives tomorrow, and we'll see you all next week.